Muammar Mohammed Abu Minyar al-Gaddafi was born in 1942 near Sirte, Libya, into a modest Bedouin family. His early life was marked by the harsh realities of desert living, which instilled in him a sense of resilience and determination. Gaddafi's education began in local schools, where he developed a keen interest in Arab nationalism and the anti-colonial movements sweeping across Africa and the Middle East. In 1963, Gaddafi graduated from the University of Libya and later attended the Royal Military Academy in Benghazi. It was during his military training that he formed the Free Officers Movement, a group inspired by Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser. This group aimed to overthrow the monarchy of King Idris I, which they viewed as corrupt and overly influenced by Western powers. On September 1, 1969, Gaddafi and his fellow officers successfully executed a bloodless coup, deposing King Idris I. At just 27 years old, Gaddafi became the de facto leader of Libya, assuming the titles of Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and Chairman of the Revolutionary Command Council. Gaddafi's rule was characterized by his unique political philosophy, which he outlined in his three-volume work, The Green Book. Published between 1975 and 1979, the book rejected both capitalism and communism, proposing instead a form of direct democracy known as Jamahiriya, or state of the masses. This system was intended to empower local councils and reduce the role of traditional government structures. Under Gaddafi's leadership, Libya saw significant changes. He nationalized the oil industry, which brought immense wealth to the country, and used these revenues to fund social programs, infrastructure projects, and military expansion. However, his policies also led to economic mismanagement and corruption, which would later contribute to widespread discontent. Gaddafi's foreign policy was marked by his support for various liberation movements and his opposition to Western influence in the Arab world. He provided financial and military aid to groups such as the Irish Republican Army, IRA, the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, and various African insurgent groups. This earned him a reputation as a sponsor of terrorism in the eyes of many Western governments. One of the most infamous incidents linked to Gaddafi's regime was the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland in 1988, which killed 270 people. Libya's alleged involvement led to international sanctions and further isolated the country on the global stage. By the early 2000s, Gaddafi had made some efforts to rehabilitate his international image. He renounced Libya's weapons of mass destruction programs and sought to improve relations with the West. However, his domestic policies remained repressive, with widespread human rights abuses and a lack of political freedoms. The wave of protests and uprisings known as the Arab Spring reached Libya in early 2011. Inspired by the revolutions in Tunisia and Egypt, Libyans took to the streets demanding an end to Gaddafi's 42-year rule. The protests quickly escalated into a civil war, with rebel forces gaining control of large parts of the country. Despite his efforts to cling to power, Gaddafi's regime crumbled. On October 20, 2011, he was captured and killed by rebel forces in his hometown of Sirte, marking the end of his controversial and tumultuous rule. Muammar Gaddafi's legacy is a complex and contentious one. To some, he was a visionary leader who sought to create a new political system and championed the cause of anti-imperialism. To others, he was a tyrant whose oppressive regime brought suffering to the Libyan people and destabilized the region.